All right, welcome to another episode of the Inside In podcast. We are live and ready to go during the Australian Open. Mitch Michals here. We're on the Believe Network. Believe Network now. A lot of great stuff on that network. We're covering all Australian Open, all tennis on all your podcast platforms. Mitch Michals joined now by friend of the show, friend of the program, Barstool Hubbs. It's Eric Hubbs joining us again. Eric, welcome to the show. And also, I know that this is like our time to shine, right? We're night owls. We're excited for tennis. The first couple of days of a major, there really is nothing like it, especially when they're playing in Australia. So welcome to the program.
Yeah, I feel welcome. I'm happy to be here. Australian Open is the Insomniac Slam, and I love every part of it. It speaks to me, more or less because there's nothing else on but tennis when it's like there's a little, NFL playoffs, and then once that ends over the weekend here in this first week. Then it's just nothing. And I love that. When it's just tennis, my brain wanders. So, like, U.S. Open, there's a lot of stuff going on. College football's getting going. There's baseball. Obviously, I'm a Yankee fan. That's my number one thing. Australian Open, and then, the other ones are in the morning, French Open, Wimbledon. The Australian Open is just tennis, and I appreciate that. It just keeps it simple for me. I actually thought ESPN did a really good job last night of just cycling through everything that mattered. I don't remember them being on top of it like that in the past. So I was appreciative of that, and I had watch ESPN going on my laptop. But I thought the actual normal coverage was good. But yeah, no, I'm having a blast. The serotonin is flowing through my body, and I am locked in.
I'm with you with ESPN. They did a great job bouncing on the main feed. Maybe it's because on Plus everyone gets the feed, so they have to be on top of it. But I want to ask you too. The struggle that I have is probably one that you have. Do you have a strategy for how you're going to bounce around? Because it's really tough. Like, there's so much tennis. There's only so many hours and so many screens. So do you have a strategy? Do you look at a match, or are you just kind of looking at scores like, this is exciting? Let me bounce.
Definitely what I'm gambling on. What I'm gambling on definitely has priority. And then obviously, like, if I'm locked in on an American, or if Medvedev is somehow losing to the lowest ranked player in the tournament, that will gain my attention. But yeah, I got the Flash Score app is my best friend. Like, that stuff keeps me on top of everything with how they update it. And yeah, I kind of go from there. But it's a lot of chaos for sure. It's kind of how Medvedev just plays his tennis, just chaos.
Well, let's just start there. I want to bounce around. There's so many stories. We're one round in, but there's so many different ways and avenues to take this. But you mentioned his name, Daniil Medvedev, wins in 5, barely survives. Had to look this guy up. Sam Ray, didn't know much about him. Thai tennis player, won a wild card tournaments of sorts to get here. But Hubbs, he gets back to to the second round, does Medvedev. It was not easy. Had to win sets 4 and 5. There was a lot of drama. He destroyed the net camera. He gave one of the classic post-match interviews. But before we get to all that, there's something about Medvedev that's just great for the sport. Like, we need him here. We need him in the mix, and we need him involved. And I'm just appreciative of the fact that we get to watch Medvedev in these tournaments.
Yeah, whether it's on or off the court, you got to appreciate him. Like, I think I've said it. I think I say it every single time I come on the pod. Like, if tennis was bigger in America and he was American, he would be one of the more popular players in the entire country in any sport. That's how good his personality is. I love how authentic and genuine and just raw he is when he talks to people. That guy truly has never thought about anything, and it just all comes out. He does not think about what to say, and it's fascinating to hear his string of consciousness. And on the court, there's that one rally where it truly looked like he somehow knew exactly where the next ball was going to be, despite having really no idea. And he's just running all over the court. I felt like his serve was better. I've always kind of I've begged him internally to improve his serve because kind of everyone else caught up to his game a little bit, and it's like, okay, it's time for you to like beef something up. Felt like his serve was better yesterday. So hopefully that's a sign of good things to come. And he's a happy family man now. He's just an interesting cat, and he looks like a crazy scientist out there trying to figure it all out. His hair is 7 different directions. He looks so tired at some points, like he's only breathing out of his mouth, and he's fine, and he can keep running, and his fitness is as good as anybody's, really. He's an interesting cat.
Yeah, 2 kids now, so congrats to them. They're a family of 4. But I do think that you hit on something accurately there, that the serve was better. He was serving bigger. And I'm wondering if maybe he's, early in these tournaments, there's such a marathon. To win a Grand Slam, which he's done, you have to go through so many stages. I'm wondering if that was part of the plan. Like, okay, let me sacrifice maybe some efficient wins for working on something that could help me later. There is also the fact, too, that Medvedev's fitness is so good that I think that, going 5 isn't going to be a detriment to him like it would be for maybe some other players. There's also a quote I keep coming back to. I got the chance to talk to Chris Eubanks years ago, who had that Wimbledon match with Medvedev. And the thing he said was, it doesn't take much, right? He can be off, he could be angry, he's screaming, he's cussing, he's destroying stuff. But it doesn't take Medvedev long to snap back into it and play good tennis. And then, before you know it, sets 4 and 5 are a runaway. So that's the thing I look at with Medvedev, too, is even when he's melting down, it doesn't really take much for him to snap back and play good.
Yeah, that the tennis racket explosion was almost a strategy at some point to just release all that anger. He was playing like crap. He takes the bathroom break, comes back, resets. Other dude was completely gassed. Medvedev was ready to pounce, and the cookie crumbled the rest of the way. I thought it was pretty telling that he was down 2-1 and still a minus 380 favorite to win the match. Don't see that very often.
Goes
now
back
that's also talks to how his opponent was quite literally just regularly losing to guys ranked in the 500s. So I don't know what was going on, and Medvedev talked afterwards, obviously, and he's like, he basically said like, that guy sucks. I don't know what just happened, but he does not play this well. So, which is very upfront and honest, and that is pretty much what happened. He played out of his mind, and it does show like in tennis, like there is skilled players all over the rankings. Even if you go into the 300s, if they're on their best day, they can challenge you and catch you off guard. And Med said even in the second, third sets, like he felt he was hitting the ball 100% and all, and just didn't matter. Because this other guy was unconscious. So, tennis is a crazy sport.
That's why best of 5 tennis, especially, there's nothing like it. It's so special. Even Bosvaretti taking a set off of Djokovic, right? Like, play your best shot, play with them. Then eventually, it's going to be a fitness test. There's strategy involved. It's so special. Is there a better reason to play sports, though, that I'll ask you, than money, women, and casinos?
A guy saying that a week after he's like, I'm going to stop playing pre-Aussie tournaments to be more of a family guy and be there for my kids. And he goes, money, girls, casino. If you play well enough, you will have all those.
It's like the Russian sex, drugs, and rock and roll, right? I think that's just like their metaphor for it. Remarkable.
He needs to come out with a shirt that just says money, girls, casino. It'd be electric.
He gets Lorna Tien, the American, next. So a nice little section of the draw for Medvedev. And we'll see. I mean, people won't really remember that he struggled if he keeps racking up wins here.
You want to also talk about a guy who you were like, Medvedev, going 5 sets doesn't matter. And he actually even had the joke, like, the longer I play, the better, whatever. But for a guy like Lorna Tien, who did not need, that should not have went 5 sets.
No.
So that's something that, for him, could easily come back to backfire in a day when you're playing a fresh Medvedev, and then
you're just not used to it if you're one of these young. When do you play best of 5? Like you just don't do it until you get to this level.
I'm pretty sure the guy that Medvedev played had never done it.
That's
crazy.
But I don't blame like Bosvaretti or these guys for emptying the tank, because what do you want to lose in straight sets? Like you gotta you learn these things.
Yeah, well, and also, I mean, Bosvaretti's let's put some respect on him. He's a different caliber player than this other guy.
Right.
He was having some good success in these Australian Open tournaments. So, he's a guy on the rise. I don't really think we're going to see this other guy much more.
Oh yeah, I mean, and Bosvaretti had a great college run, goes the next gen, which I want to get to, but then pushes Djokovic. We've seen the story before. Djokovic, like a lot of top guys, needs to kind of figure out where he's at. Everyone's talking about the Murray side of things, which I think is great and interesting and so fascinating. But where I come from with Djokovic is we're going to be measuring him on a different level. We're going to be measuring him against the top guys. He's at a different stage, obviously, how older he is, Hubbs. I want to know body management, energy management, how this goes forward, because he's, you get older with this. This is a dangerous game you're playing. You can't leave too much in the tank because you could get upset early. So where are you at with Djokovic now as he tries to walk through the draw and get to maybe a Carlos quarterfinal match?
It's a good point you made. You gotta conserve that energy, and I kind of compare it to like Steph Curry is still an awesome top 10, top 7 basketball player in the NBA. The numbers are kind of still there. The difference with Steph Curry is his minutes usage. Like, he used to play the first 9 minutes of a quarter. Now he plays the first 4, comes out for 4, and then plays the last 3. It's just how you have to preserve yourself when you get older. And yeah, this is a different kind of Novak where he could easily lose. Like, you know, it used to be, especially down in Australia, like he ain't losing until the semifinals or the finals, pretty much the finals.
Yeah.
Now he can get got. Like this is a different stage in his career where, you know, the guy didn't win a slam last year. It's like we have to all kind of adjust to what we're seeing out of Novak here. And obviously the Murray aspect is fascinating for sure, but yeah, I'm more just curious, as you are, the physical fitness part of it.
Yeah, and I wonder too if he's going to be like, it's like the college football method, like what Nick Saban used to do. Does he just have guys on payroll that are just scouts Alcaraz, just scout center? Just I don't even want to know. That's your job, is to find ways for me to break through. But it adds another layer to this because there's no more yeah, you're right. There's no more essentially gimme victories for him. It's going to be just a war of attrition, as it should be. And
maybe like the first round or two, but like once you get in that third or fourth, like these are dogfights. The depth now, is so good. Him.
The depth of men's tennis is so good now. It was Popper in third round last year, Masters 1000 champion.
And isn't he lurking in this drawer? If I remember correctly.
Well, we just lost him late last night.
Oh my God! Right, he lost to Moutet. My God!
Shout out to Moutet.
That's me. I fell asleep. No, that's one of the matches that just happened at 4 a.m. So I don't remember. Yeah. Of course, Moutet goes into Australia and feeds off the crowd. Of course,
he's the road. Well, to be fair, there were a decent amount. There always are a decent amount of French fans there, so he had some support. But Moutet just loves playing the villain. Like it's just beat Jari in Chile a couple years or last year. So
I went up to him. And talked to him about that match. I was at Taste of Tennis right before the U.S. Open. Yeah. It was a little party. And it's all winding down, and the players at this point are just hanging out. I just literally went up to him, I fist bumped him, and I go, "Your win over Jerry was one of the best moments of the year." And I think he was so stunned that anyone could recall that match. But I went up to him and told Moutet that was fun.
He's an interesting player, and if you haven't played against him or if you struggled against him, it can go downhill quickly, and he thrives, in hostile environments, which you can't say for many tennis players. Well, switching to another man of the hour, Joao Fonseca. Now, a lot's going to be said about him in the next couple of days, especially what went down. He's now the 7th favorite to win the Australian Open by the books. 18 years old, doesn't turn 19 till around the U.S. Open. He beats Andrei Rublev in straight sets in convincing fashion. I'll start with this. There's easy power at this level that you don't see much. He's got it. This was a warning shot to the field that reminded me of Alcaraz beating Tsitsipas in that U.S. Open, where you don't know when it's coming, but he's going to be there. He's going to be at the top of the sport. So your impression, Hubbs, of a guy fulfilling his potential so far and quickly on the rise, has the rocket strapped to him like Joao Fonseca?
I just published the blog and said that this reminded me of Alcaraz beating Tsitsipas at the U.S. Open. I was there for that match, and it had that vibe. I guess a little different part of it was there wasn't this build-up for Carlos at that moment. You knew of Carlos right before that win.
Yeah.
Like, people knew Fonseca's coming. Like, he's got this crazy winning streak in the Challenger circuit, and he had some moments in the South American tour last year. So it's a little more like on the radar, but to win your first slam match, awesome. To do it against the top 10 guy, oh my God. To do it in straight sets.
And Rublev didn't play bad. Like, by the way, watch the match. Rublev did not, it was not a meltdown by Rublev. It was not agony. Rublev was there. It was
all you
remarkable.
Need to do is watch Rublev's reaction at the net. He literally is just laughing. He's like, "There's nothing I could have done there." He's like that was just like a train. I was just on the train tracks, and I just got hit by a full speed locomotive, and there was just nothing I really could do. And Rublev is kind of a guy too. His calling card, right, is he struggles against top, but he'll get deeper into a tournament. So this doesn't really kind of happen to him. And this guy won a Masters 1000 last year. This is not a slouch by any means. Is he, maybe top 5 Rublev anymore? No, but that was crazy what he did. The forehand is as good as you can get. It's Sinner stuff.
He models himself after Sinner in a lot of ways. And then I know this part made a lot of us tingle. He quoted Roger. He's like Roger says, you got to do this. And I'm like, oh, this guy, he's becoming a cyborg there. There's a lot to be said about this. And I'll say one thing where I equate it to another sport. I'm a big fan of hockey. This guy in the Avalanche, Nathan McKinnon, has such a quick release where he doesn't have to be as precise with where he puts it. Fonseca's forehand pops so much. He was hitting winners last night that weren't even painting lines. They were just getting back so fast. And the other side
It
of
was like stunning. It was stunning Rublev at how quick it was getting there.
Just,
he was just
on
like,
his feet, like returns on his feet. And he was, the nerves too is what really stood out, because we've heard about his power, but he had 30 love. He had, I don't know if he had set point down, but pretty close in that last set. He's finding a way to play big points and playing two of the best points of the match to end the match at 5-all in the tiebreak, winning the last two. There's a lot there. And other thing that I do want to say, this is going to be a good indictment of how they move the next gen finals in the schedule to basically right before the season, because he wins that tournament. He goes through that field, Hubbs, and now he's flying into Australia. I think he's riding that wave, and good luck to whoever faces him going forward, because he's going to be a tough out.
Confidence and momentum is a hell of a drug. He's got a lot of it and all the talent in the world. He's got a really good backhand. He's got a monster forehand. He's got a good serve. He's got the mentals. What else do you need? Like, this is just not a guy you want to like. Guess who's he playing next? He plays Sonego, right? Sonego. He's a -455 favorite over Sonego. Vegas isn't like. Well, they were getting beat
the
by
odds
this
were
guy.
Going into the Rublev match. The first thing I thought was, what respect do they have for this guy?
Oh my God!
And we're not saying
plus 135. It was like, whoa! Yeah. They are not gonna get beat by this guy. They know. Everyone knows. No problem.
And similar to Alcaraz, it might not happen right away. There's going to be the ups and downs of learning to be a pro and playing a full season, but it's going to happen eventually. So
one last thing with that is like what you saw with the early years of Carlos, and like where he was just winning off of pure talent, and he still kind of is, and he's learning to construct points. It's Carlos is still really, really young, but that's the scary part, is like Fonseca's gonna win based off pure talent, and then eventually he's gonna like get really good coaching and learn how to just construct points and all that, and then you're gonna see just another different version of him. And the fact that this early raw version of him is horrifying for the rest of the tour. And I shout out Liam Blutman, who's my fellow tennis compadre here at Barstool, and I don't think he actually slept last night. I think he just watched everything straight through like a maniac. You'll see it in his eyes. He doesn't sleep. But he was on the Fonseca train before me. I kind of got on the South American tour last year when he won a few matches against Garin and Arthur Fies. But he's been on it before. He knew this was coming. He has declared this will be a double-digit slam winner. So if that's the case, then we have a big three here of Sinner, Alcaraz, and Fonseca. That is awesome.
Could be actually in his freshman year at Virginia right now. He was committed before.
Yeah, so Sinner was like, "Don't do this." Sinner was like, "Don't do that. What are you doing? Go on the tour. Come on."
Last thing I'll say is the players know. I remember talking to Jimmy Arias once. He was saying, I think it was Paolo Lorenzi, old veteran tennis player, said there's this kid coming up. It was when he was like 14, 15. That just sounds different when he hits it. So they're the ones that know. Sinner knows. These guys know. All right, more here on the Inside In Tennis podcast. We got Barstool Hubbs on the show. So much to react with the Australian Open. There's just a lot going on. I do want to give preference and shout outs, just react quickly to some matches. Gael Monfils at 38 years old, Hubbs, beats GMP. 5 sets. Took a little while to get there, but Monfils just became one of the oldest tour champions in a long time in Auckland, and now here he is just racking up major wins yet again.
That was a roller coaster of a match. I looked over in the third set tiebreak. It was done. There was no way GMP was gonna get him double mini break. He does it. And then all of a sudden, fourth set's over. And all of a sudden, the fifth set, GMP, of course, just gets broken right away, and that's it. But, Monfils still doing the damn thing. Like, incredible. Just a true showman in every way possible. And doing it at his age, this kind of sport is crazy. It probably helped that, GMP doesn't make a guy run around the whole lot. You're talking about two hit rallies. So that certainly allows Monfils to win a 5-set match. Probably not against many other players in the top 50, I would imagine. Crazy match. No doubt that had no business going 5 sets.
Just remember, if you're watching out there for the first time or you're new to this, if Monfils grabs his knee, he's fine. That's just how he does it. It looks like he's tired. It might be a little sandbagging there. That was
a big. Him and Moutet do similar things. Like Moutet will look like he's about to go to the ER, and then all of a sudden, boom, switch.
I kind of thought that too. I thought Sebastian Korda is another one. Like, we've been waiting for him to get healthy, and he wins that first match in 5. The second set, and I'm not even blaming him for doing this, but just completely throws away the second set. What, he win like 5 points? But you got to think at a point, right? Like if it's a rough condition, sticky day, you've just got to manage your energy and find a way to win 3 out of 5.
It is so fascinating, tennis. I mean, they say it all the time, obviously, but like it's so unique because the score doesn't matter.
No.
It just matters about sets. You lose something 6-0, 6-1.
Well, yeah.
Like novice gamblers need to like it. I feel like that tricks gamblers sometimes. They're like, oh, he won 6-0, he's gonna win this set. No, dude, they just
Shelton
don't care
Nakashima
sometimes.
last night. Ben wins in straights. Point total was like 116, 108. So we're talking a guy wins in straight sets. He wins 8 more points total in the match.
Ben was exceptional in the big points.
Yeah.
Oh my, that was he got better. Like I'm happy he got better. I didn't know how much better he was gonna. Like he was exceptional in big moments in that. But yeah, I agree. Yeah, like it.
It's the American situation is fascinating because I think with the way Fritz has kind of gotten himself. I mean, I know he destroyed Brooksby early, who hadn't played in a while, but Fritz has been ramping up. I don't know how much better he can get. I think I think American men's tennis is the closest it's been in maybe a very long time to snapping that streak. It's going to be hard to do it with the guys at the top. But I want to keep saying it. What Taylor Fritz has done with his game, a bona fide top 5, maybe even top 4 player, is just remarkable, and he's inching closer and closer to the cusp.
I feel like very few people give him the respect he's due. It's so impressive how every year he's consistently just there, and he's winning. You know, he's going deep into slams and 1000s, and it's just like, dude doesn't go away. Like, and to be honest with you, like, I'd say 4 years ago, you watch Taylor Fritz, you think this guy isn't cracking the top 15, top 20. Like, this guy's not getting any better. He's a statue out there, and all of a sudden, he's moving as good as anybody sometimes. Like, and obviously the serve is great and the forehand. So I wish he got a little better at the net. That would be like the one thing I'd probably wish for. Like, I feel like that Rafa match, whatever. But it is impressive, and I agree. It's the closest they've been because as great Carlos is, definitely is. Like, look at the match against Botic in the U.S. Open. Like, he can get got. Sinner maybe not so much, but there's something coming in a few months that might take it out of Sinner's hands. And then Novak's old, so like this is your chance. There's going to be some. We're going to get a slam at one point soon. That is whoa.
They're not going to win all 4.
Like Tommy's in this, Fritz is in this, and
they're not going to win. The years are going to be very rare. It might never actually happen again where Alcaraz and Sinner win all 4 majors. It's very rare. That said, how bullish are you on Fritz's chances now that he has his own section of a draw too, which should also be pointed out as the 4 seed? But how bullish are you on this major?
On this major, Sinner's in it, so I'm not great because until that guy loses, I don't really know who beats him because it's ridiculous. Like even his warm-up videos, and it's just you talk about the sound. The sound is so different off his racket than like pretty much anyone but like Carlos and maybe Fonseca. So I don't know. I mean, I'd love to see him. Hey, just go deep and see what happens. And if Sinner, has an off night and he's thinking about the suspension, which I think is the only way he's going to lose, is if he's mentally just checked out. But now obviously it didn't happen at the U.S. Open. But just get deep and see what happens because. And you're good enough now to continually get deep. That's all you can ask for. Just be in the ball game.
It really is all you can ask for. Also, I know it's early, and we'll be judging Sinner and Alcaraz as they progress through this tournament. Sinner beats Jari, Alcaraz beats Shevchenko. It is, and I can't take full credit for this take, but it was pointed out to me. It's kind of absurd that they get kind of tougher first round matches, like the way tennis works. Sinner, Jari is like a borderline seeded player. Shevchenko right there too. So, and on one hand though, there's that. The other hand is you're playing a pretty solid competition out of the gates, so your level has to kind of be up.
I think those guys appreciate a real test early. Just give them something to work with rather than like, if I'm not even have to dig into my bag a little bit for gameplay, whatever. Like you gotta, especially Sinner and Alcaraz didn't play pre-Australian Open tournaments. They're coming in here pretty, they're fresh, obviously, but they don't have match experience lately. So outside of like exhibitions, obviously, Carlos is loving his exhibitions. But playing like a Shevchenko, who definitely is like a real guy, like I think they appreciate that rather than playing a schmuck or whatever. Like I don't know. I don't want to disparage him, but a schmuck.
Yeah. We don't want to do that. Before we get to some of
No.
the exits, too, I did want to mention shout out to Francis Tiafoe. It was like his Jordan flu game a little bit. And he said he would have retired without that being a major. It was a little tough to watch, but him gutting it through it against Arthur Rinderknecht, who's notoriously not really a fan of Americans, too, was kind of good to see.
Yeah, I was definitely happy to see Arthur lose. I'll say that.
Tiafoe and Lululemon, though, a little different look for him, kind of switching up his kit this year, which we see a lot of, but.
And he's got a crash course with Fonseca in round 3, if we can get there.
Ooh. It's going to be a tough one. Yeah, there's also a weird dynamic if you're trending it. There's odd year, even year Tiafoe, and odd year doesn't quite hold up as much if you look at the record books. Yeah. But something to kind of monitor going forward.
San Francisco Giants into him. Okay.
Could be. We'll look and wish Tiafoe the best. But some of the upsets that we saw, some of the losses that we saw, no Stefano Tsitsipas anymore. Mickelson wins, and that was a trap match. And Mickelson, again, just want to give him props first before we talk about Tsitsipas. Not just the serve bot, not just the big stiff guy out there. He was moving in that match. He was letting the backhand fly. Another kid that foregone his college experience to go pro. And this American talent pool, Hubbs, it's just deeper and deeper everywhere you look, it seems.
Yeah, Mickelson is not a guy you want to trifle with, especially early in a tournament. You're trying to get your feet wet. Hypothetically, your career's going down the toilet, and you haven't strung together like a consistent slam run a little bit. Probably not the guy you want to go up against. Stefanos is as broken as it gets. I don't see a way of recovery. I don't see a path where he gets back into, top level. It's just not happening.
Yeah, I don't want to say clay court specialist going forward, but I do think he's gonna be better on clay than other surfaces, the way he plays the game. His quotes after, he's vocally said on court and matches that the backhand's not there, and there's a lot of technical issues. And look, the sad reality is when you play long enough and you technically don't get the right approach or don't get fundamentally the right teaching, you're at a point now where you probably can't fix it. It's probably too late. It's just like a hatchet job to manage it. That said, the one thing in his quote that I did think was kind of opened the door to something true is that there's no set level of what you're chasing. All these guys are getting better. So to think that I just need to get to a certain point, it doesn't work that way. Fonseca's coming. Sinner and Alcaraz are adding to their game. It's like I agree with long about way of saying I agree with you. It's going to be tough for Tsitsipas to get back on that level with how much improved the rest of the field is.
Even if you maintain your level, it's not good enough. You got to get better somehow, and that is just maintaining a consistent good level is not for a top 15 guy. You're going to fall behind, and it's incredibly frustrating. And Tsitsipas is definitely feeling that. I've always wondered why he shanks more than anyone else in the world. His backhand, he finds the frame. I feel like more than anybody, and always comes in big moments. And maybe it's more of a technical thing, but it's just crazy to me.
And I don't want. Well, I don't think, and we have to talk to an actual expert. But I think he plays the game from very slim margins. Federer was kind of like that. He had some shanks in there too. You have to be on.
He did.
But that said, I also can't speculate either. But I don't think he's similar to Korda. I don't think he's ever really been fully healthy in the last couple of years. And maybe that's just the miles he's put on, managing some stuff. But yeah, it's going to be tough. It moves fast. He was next man up, and now there's a new field. Speaking of that, Hubbs, probably the end, unfortunately. Nick Kyrgios is an Australian Open singles player. Fernley wins that match and, does it impressively. He's been a beast. Challenger Tour, played Joker tough at Wimbledon. He's been on a heater. We'll see if he keeps it going. But for Kyrgios, the health is going to be the concern, right? It was wrist, it was abdomen. He's had issues. He hasn't gotten in match shape. And I don't know what the future holds for him, but I know that if he's not in it, this sport is way too tough to have 1 foot in, 1 foot out.
That was sad. I think Fernley, he definitely used to be a Barstool athlete. I don't know if we still do that, but at one point he was a Barstool athlete. So that's cool. No, if you saw the gambling line before that one, you knew that Nick was in a lot of trouble. And yeah, singles just maybe isn't it for him anymore, and he just goes around and plays doubles, slams. I don't know how much passion he's going to truly have in traveling the world to play doubles. I think he's a pretty good commentator. See what he wants to do in that. I also think he could be a hell of a coach. I think you ask most people around tour, and they say tactic wise, Nick is right up there with he can tell everyone else what to do basically, but he just doesn't want to motivate himself. The abdominal thing is tough. he's got to take some time to get that right. And I don't know, maybe we see him in like Miami or something like that. But yeah, man, there's nothing like Nick Kyrgios and John Cain Arena.
Yeah.
And he's just going, he prefers to play there because you can get
Yeah.
the general admission gets in there. You don't have to have a specific ticket, and they go absolutely bonkers for him. There's been so many matches like that. The Dominic Thiem one, and I think he loses that match, but it's still in a raucous environment. He even had a little moment here versus Fernley, when he's doing the tweener and all that, and he's so good at entertaining a crowd. And yeah, I mean, hey, people have so many opinions of Nick, a lot of them negative. I see the positive in him that guy is just a different aspect of a sport that can get rather boring sometimes.
Yeah.
And I appreciate that. So if this is truly the last Australian Open for him as a singles player, it's pretty sad.
Yeah.
We didn't get, he's a what if player, no doubt. If he gave as much time and effort to his whole career, or even half his career, as he did that 1 year where he missed the Wimbledon final, like, what are we looking at? Does he have a slam in his bag?
Right.
He definitely had the talent to do it. So, but yeah, truly a fascinating player through and through.
It's such a brutal sport, and unfortunately for Nick in this comeback, he hasn't gotten to the point where we can really test how his body will hold up in runs. If he wins a match, what's that look like? So it's tough. I mean, you want to preserve your health. You have a life after tennis. You also got to be mentally checked in. So I don't know. It's tough. And Fernley, again, good player, tough match, couple tie breaks, but yeah, it's unfortunately trending in the wrong direction for Nick. So we'll see what he does.
Yeah.
Well, now on the Inside In podcast, I want to switch to the women. We got matches we're looking forward to wrap this up at the end, but some interesting women's matches and storylines starting out. While we speak of Americans, Hubbs, Coco Gauff has hit the ground running, and she's really been pacing the field, coming for what she hopes is a lengthy career and winning some more majors. But she beats Kenin early. She's actually got a couple wins on Iga now. So we know Sabalenka. We know what she can do. Iga's playing better. But Gauff looks like she's rounding into a new level that even when she won the U.S. Open, she didn't have.
There's something different. And, I mean, she smokes Smukova in the United Cup. And then Iga. And, Iga's still working through some things with her. She's switching swings and tactics, whatever, sure. But Coco she just looks significantly more confident and stronger out there. And there is a different, like we just literally said, if you want to be a really, really, really good player in tennis, your top 15, you got to continually get better. She is not leveled. She's rising, and she's still so young. I was literally just talking to somebody.
It's insane.
She's 20. She's 20 years old.
And she's played 20 majors, I think, already, or something close to that. Yeah.
It is nonsense how young she is, and that obviously leaves so much room for her to continue to rack wins, rack slams, get better, get stronger. Like this is a scary version of Coco Gauff that when she burst onto the scene when she was 16 at Wimbledon, I want to say.
Yeah.
People were like, "What could this be?" And how many times do you see someone burst on and they fizzle out a little bit? It's like, is this going to happen? It's happening.
We've talked about the parity of women's tennis a lot, and there's been bigger instances, bigger eras of that. But I do think there's something to be said about you're really as good as your floor. And Coco, we always knew about the apex and how good she can be, but she's really elevated her floor. The forehand's much maligned. It's improved. She's readjusted her grip, which has been talked about, but she's also not double faulting as much. So if we're looking at Coco consistency, other than Sabalenka in the last couple of years, Coco is consistently making deep runs into these tournaments. So we expect her to just keep racking up wins. And look, she's a very, very professional 20 years old too. There's not that many meltdowns. There's not that many issues. She handles the moment and handles herself as the highest paid female athlete, I think, in the world last year. She's doing okay for herself.
Her draw is good too. Like she's not going to have much trouble here until we get deep. And you're finding that she really doesn't lose to lower ranked people. Like if she gets beat, it's by a top person. So she's going to continually get very deep in a lot of slams and rack up a lot of trophies. This is the grip thing. Obviously, is being talked about ad nauseum, but it is. Watch that Iga match and tell me it's not a thing. Like it's a different player out there, and Iga used to wipe the floor against them. It's just not the case anymore.
Iga's got a nice draw as well. Siniakova again tricky. Siniakova round one for Iga. Coco got Kenin. Not exactly layups, but they find their way through and they ramp in. Sabalenka going for a three-peat here. Loves being here. Loves showing up on time. And we got Rybakina back in the mix. We'll see. There's obviously a lot going on there. But when she's on the court and if she is focused, that's another added mix to the top. So I'm not actually buying the notion that it's just the big four. You can have upsets. We've seen them before, but I like having Rybakina back in the mix because she's another player that could be a problem across the board.
Yeah. Oh, I mean, spoiler. She's my pick to win the whole thing. And she looked the part last night. Granted, against Emerson Jones, who is not, going to really challenge her too much at this point. But Rybakina, obviously, she's got the whole coach fiasco going on. If she could somehow mentally put that aside, she's healthy again. I think that's the biggest thing. Like, she was back and forth with health in 2024. If she's truly right, and she sure as hell looked like it last night, problem. I would put her above Iga. Like, Iga's never really one semifinal here. This is the slam that has not treated her.
She got Danimal in that slam.
Yeah. So like, I don't know. Like here, Rybakina is above her. Obviously, I think you can put Saba and Coco obviously 1, 2, and then Rybakina is a comfortable 3.
Yeah, all right. I'm with you there. I do think Iga, though, like losing to Coco was a close match, and the win over Rybakina was good. But yeah, I think I agree with those power rankings. I also want to say, like, from the outside, from players that could crash the party, make a run. Last year on this show, we talked about her, but are you still high on the Mira Andreeva train?
Yeah, another person who's just so young and getting better at every moment. It's just, she has so much power. Sometimes she hits herself off the court, though, where she's just, she's the type of person, if you can somehow return enough balls back to her, she'll kind of hurt herself too much. She's kind of got to learn to not be, I always think of Denis Shapovalov when I think of that type of player who just like so talented, power, hit themselves off the court. She's better than Denis Shapovalov. Dennis never took that level, although he did look good last night. But I'll always have a little stock in Dennis. But if you put enough balls back in play to that type of player, they can hurt themselves, and that's kind of how you beat Mira. And she's a little, she'll also find herself in trouble with some double faults, but I mean, definitely a person lurking at all times that you don't want to come across.
Working with Conchita Martinez is great. That's a heck of a player, a Hall of Famer, and also someone that coached Garbiti Muguruza to a major title too. So I think that's huge for her to have her in her corner. Also has a major semifinal experience at last year's Roland Garros. So I'm with you on that one. Other players, the match last night that really captivated me as much as any was Emma Navarro, Peyton Stearns, 3 sets, thriller. Navarro is down, Stearns serving for the match, and then 3 straight games. Navarro wins. 2 national champions, 21-22 respectively. Navarro survives the test. Just an unreal fit player too. As athletes go, Hub, she might be the best on the tour, and that's saying something.
That's the kind of match too, where Navarro's amazing ability to stay so even keel, Stearns shows a little emotion, which is I love it players.
Too.
Yeah. There's nothing wrong with that, and she's a true fighter and a testament to college tennis, no doubt. I bet Peyton Stearns. I thought she was going to win that match. I think the line was terrible for Navarro, but she kept it even keel, even though in bad moments of that match, so many times looked over. I felt like, and that is one of her best, I think, abilities is the mental side, and she is just kind of go with the flow. Flush away the last point, move on to the next. That is an exceptional trait to have that I think a lot of players on the men and women's side would be dying to have. And she's got it really good. So, that pretty much got her over the hump against Peyton Stearns. Yeah,
and I know Sakari lost last night, but I was saying Navarro's kind of on the Sakari corner because there's that shot. It's happened a few times where she's stretching full one-hand backhand. It's like every delt muscle's popping. I'm like, whoa, this is like a real specimen here. But yeah, I'm with you. Navarro is going to be in the mix, going to be a contender. We saw her at the semis last year in New York, so she keeps it going as well. So does Naomi Osaka. Now, you want to talk about maybe a brutal section of a draw? Osaka has to get through Garcia, no slouch, avenges last year's loss, and her reward for winning that match, Hubs, is Karolina Mukova. So congratulations. Here's the trickiest player on the WTA.
When Mukova's healthy, not someone I want to go against, and she's currently healthy. I think this is a really bad matchup for Naomi.
She's got to be on your top like 5 fun ranking. If we're ranking just fun players to watch in the WTA, she's got to be top 3, top 5.
Oh my God, yeah, she has creativity along with power, and I am a fan of both of those. She is fun as hell to watch. I thought she was going to give Coco way more of a test at the United Cup, and it just I don't know what happened. But Osaka not breezing through Caro was kind of a red flag for me. Still good to get through it because that's something she kind of has been struggling with, and she's been pretty outspoken about like if I don't kind of start winning again, like I'll just walk away and I don't care too much about the sport. Pretty much, she said. So I guess that was pretty good for her mentally to like get through that. Yeah. Despite I think Caro just not being the player she used to be, I think Mukova's going to pounce on her tonight.
Yeah, where are we at health-wise with Osaka is my biggest thing because she wins the first set against Towson in that match and then has to retire. We know Towson's a heck of a player too, but it's like, okay, is the body going to hold up? It's been a minute since she's been, fully ready for the gauntlet of a pro tennis deep major run. So how's that going to respond? But yeah, Mukova, her problem though, Hubbs, is when she plays Coco can just neutralize her athleticism. And it really makes her like not working with the full deck. So styles make fights in a lot of ways, but yeah, this is tough. This is a tough one.
Yeah, this is mean. This is a mean matchup this early. And I honestly Bencic I know is coming back from being off for so long, but Gia waits the next possible round. That's not easy either.
By the way, Belinda Bencic, under 30 years old, kind of crazy. How long she's been around? Under 30.
Yeah, when did she break on? Was she below 20 when she broke? Yeah. She must have been, right?
Beat Serena, the Serena year in 2015 when she was like 18 or 19. She beat Serena in Canada, so it was like that was her coming out party. But beat Ostapenko, which is not a fun day at the office, I think, but she handles business in that one. Other names to kind of consider that are out. Just want to run through a few. Good to see Ons Jabeur winning some matches, and also
shocking.
Yeah, shocking. She looks like she's back and kind of, managing some of the injuries she had. And just so we all are clear, Jasmine Paolini just wins matches at majors, apparently. It's kind of crazy to see that number 4 seed by her name, but it's wild, man. She's just another level up playing. So.
Yep, 100%. I agree. Paolini is not someone you go. Katie Bolter, I think, is good for her consistency. Plays a ton of matches. I feel like she doesn't rest any tournaments, and she continually just keeps winning. We got a fun one. Is this tonight? No, they both won last. When is Raducanu on Expo? I'm bad with the schedule. Is it tonight or tomorrow?
I think it is tomorrow. I think.
Tomorrow. That's a fun one.
Raducanu was. I mean, Anisimova is one of the best ball strikers on the WTA. If you watch her practice, you're like, this girl hits it as good as anyone. Raducanu put a lot of pressure on herself, but beating Alexandrova, I know it got a little dicey at the end, but that's an impressive win out the gate.
She's so interesting, Raducanu, because obviously always dealing with health injuries, and flying ants now, or bull ants, whatever it was. It's like it's like, hey, you win the U.S. Open and now you're just cursed. Yeah. But some people want, because obviously the draw she kind of went through to win the U.S. Open wasn't the most staunch in the world, but the U.S. Open nonetheless. Some people wondered, like, one-hit wonder, all that. I feel like she still holds her own plenty. And when she's right, like, there's some impressive wins in there. So I'd like to see one more good run out of Raducanu. And she's still so young. So, like,
it's another way.
I'm talking she's not leaving. No. But I think there's at least one more good slam run for Raducanu in there.
We didn't mention, Jessie Pegula back in the mix after the U.S. Open final run, if she could keep it going, on the other side of 30 now. So the Americans have a couple players to piece. And then, Danielle Collins didn't retire, so she's back in the mix. And another one I just love being unapologetically yourself. Like, even if we don't like it, it's refreshing to see in tennis. She's like, I don't like Iga. Deal with it.
No, hey, like, I'm a Medvedev guy. I like honesty. Like, if you're just honesty and genuine, like, we need some rivals. Hate is kind of good in some ways. Like, we want that. Speaking of Pegula, Keys kind of ran through her in the previous tournament. That was a little shocking.
I don't. Keys is one though where we've said it a while, right? I don't know that 7 matches is realistic for her to expect.
Yeah.
But on one match, any day of the week, and we almost saw it in that U.S. Open a couple years ago in Sabalenka, where Sabalenka had to rally to make it out of there. Like, Keys hits the ball as good as anyone, and she can play. So it's just 7 in a row might be tough.
Yeah, I don't know. You almost expect a better number next to her name than 19.
Yeah.
But then, yeah, if she's redlining and the way she hits with power, like you're screwed. you got nothing. And Pegula kind of was in that spot, so that was a little disheartening for me to see it that way. But yeah, I mean, Jess and slams. She knows how to play these matches better than most. So she'll be good.
Well, I had 2 before we get to the matches we like and wrap this up here, Barstool Hubbs on the Inside In Tennis podcast. 2 people I want to shout out because they're the cool tennis stories we like to see on the women's side. One was Eva Lees, the German, lucky loser, was on her way out. Oh, you're in the tournament now. Here's you got to change your flight, and then she wins the match. So the whirlwind of a lucky loser story is always good.
Nuts. that concept, explaining that concept to like a non-tennis fan is very difficult. Lucky losers.
It's what would it be? It's like, the Knicks got called back. They're in. They got to play. Everybody go back to the court. You're in the next round.
It would be like a college basketball team losing in the conference finals, and in their conference championship finals, and then you're still in. It's fine. We put you through in. Crazy.
The last one I want to say, and it's a really cool story to look it up, but the Australian Destiny Ieva, who wins her first major match. Really cool story because 3 years ago she was in a tough place dealing with some real serious life stuff in a dark place. Recovers, gets right, and then on home soil beats Greet Menin to win her first major match. It's the cool stuff about tennis too, where you see how much it means. Not everyone's going to be a major champion. We'll see what happens with her career, but it's just cool to see how much it means and how tennis can be such a beautiful thing.
On the flip side, 2 other ones. Hadi Habib, first Lebanese man to, I believe, play in a slam, like main draw, and then he just wins his match. So that's cool. And I need to find his name, but there's a American, Boyer, I believe, had to flee his home in LA because it was on fire, and then he just wins an Australian Open match, and he qualifies and then wins an Australian Open match in 5 too. He had to come back from 2-1 down against Coria, so I thought that was a really cool moment.
It's just a great thing to have tennis, major tennis as well. Australian Open 2025. Well, Hubbs, we'll wrap it up with this. Barstool Hubbs here on the podcast. Matches tonight we're looking at. This we're recording a couple hours before, so we got a full slate. I have a few highlighted, but what's going to get your agenda? What's going to get the blood going early?
Blood going early. So like before we get to 3 a.m, a sneaky one. Fernley against Cazot.
Oh yeah.
I think that is like got 4 to 5 sets ticketed for it. I'm always excited to see Korda out there, especially going against a guy from that area. I desperately want Korda to stay healthy because I think he is truly one of the more talented guys on the American side. So I'd love for him to just keep stacking matches. So those 2, but the number 1 match of the night is Tommy Paul and Kei Nishikori. 2 guys. Now we want to talk about Medvedev not caring about 5 sets. I don't know if Kei Nishikori wanted to play 5 sets in the first round. Tommy Paul has the best fitness. I think I kind of stand by that. Number 1 fitness on the men's side. Like that guy can run. That is his number 1 tool. He can outrun you. He can outlast you. Everything else is not as great as everything else, but he's not going to be worried about playing a 5-setter. Granted, that was a little marathon, and that should not have taken 5 sets, but Kei might be a little winded. We'll see. But those guys, Kei hits the ball as clean as it can be. Tommy is an absolute gamer. I think that is going to be an awesome match.
Huge redemption for Kei Nishikori, riding his way all the way back up, and I think the top 80 now. Completed his 5th 2 sets to love comeback. Yeah, he gets Tommy Paul. That's going to be get your track shoes ready if you're ready for that match. Got a sneaky women's match. I think that's going to be good. Diana Schneider and Ayla Tomljanovic. I think that could be some fireworks there. We talked about it, but Mukova Osaka going to be grilled to that one. Also, another match to look at on the men's side, Hubbs. Auger-Aliassime versus Davidovich Fokina. Felix is another one that kind of works. If he can get some wins under him, maybe he could be a factor. He can play with the top players. But then we're going to round out. We're going to get to the overnight. We're going to talk Jack Draper, Thanasi Kokkinakis, and Casper Ruud, Jakub Mensik. Those 2. Let's go.
Yeah. Don't love how Casper looked in that Munar match. I feel like that should have just been a way easier. Munar, especially a clay guy for the most part, just don't love his chances. Mensik has has
Could
a
be a
lot
guy.
of firepower.
Mensik could be a guy. Like could be one of the
definitely
ones to
could be a guy.
watch. You know,
I mean, how old are we talking with Mensik? Mensik
19,
is
20?
19. Yeah. So yeah, I mean for sure. Yeah. So yeah, no doubt. Rude Mensik. I just lost my page here. Yeah, Draper Kokkinakis. That seems ticketed for 5. I have a gripe with Felix because if Tommy beat him, I think he was in the top 10. So that was annoying. But Fokina is just. I feel like he can sometimes look like the best player on the tour for one set, and the next set it's like he's never gripped a racket before. It's a very erratic player. And Felix is kind of even keel. So that'll be an interesting little contrast of maybe personas. So yeah, those two are pretty good.
Draper has a tall task for him today because he was, going through it a little bit in that last match, made some errors, but we know the talent's there. Kokkinakis, along with, Demon Hour now, they're like the Aussie crowd guys that kind of get him going. So it's going to be tough. But yeah, Rude Mensik as well. It's just great. We got a lot of options tonight on the menu.
I wonder if we get Nick in his box tonight.
Ooh.
I wonder if Nick shows up to just cheer him on because he's out of the singles. I think they're still playing doubles together, if I remember correctly.
Yeah.
So that could be fun if he's just like going nuts for him, trying to will him on, because the crowd will be definitely up for that.
Well, this has been a blast, Hub. So you got Rybakina and who's Sinner winning?
Yeah, Sinner. It's
okay.
chalk. It's chalk, but and I hope. Hey, I'm a Carlos guy, but he has not played his best tennis in Australia. I'll say this though, we impressive enough. We really didn't talk about Carlos Alcaraz throughout this entire thing, and his quote about he forgets where to put his new serve in the match. It's crazy thing to say. He's like, I have to remind myself how to serve mid-match. Like, that's nuts. He also looks noticeably stronger. His muscles are popping. Like, I don't know how, like, the tennis offseason is 2 days.
Yeah.
I don't know when he had the time to beef up or whatever, but I hope he didn't go down the Sinner route. But I'm locked in on Carlos. I want him to do well. But until Sinner loses, anytime he won 70-something matches last year, how can you pick against him until something else happens?
Carlos going sleeveless was an indicator of he was proud of the work he put in. But it's a crazy sport. There was a lot of drama. He destroyed the net camera. He gave one of the classic post-match interviews. But before we get to all that, there's something about Medvedev that's just great for the sport. Like we need him here. We need him in the mix, and we need him involved. And I'm just appreciative of the fact that we get to watch Medvedev in these tournaments. Yeah.
Whether it's on or off the court, you got to appreciate him. Like I think I've said it. I think I say it every single time I come on the pod. Like if tennis was bigger in America and he was American, he would be one of the more popular players in the entire country in any sport. That's how good his personality is. I love how authentic and genuine and just raw he is when he talks to people. That guy truly has never thought about anything, and it just all comes out. He does not think about what to say, and it's fascinating to hear his string of consciousness. And on the court, I mean, there's that one rally where it truly looked like he somehow knew exactly where the next ball was going to be, despite having really no idea. And he's a happy family man now. He's just an interesting cat, and he looks like a crazy scientist out there trying to figure it all out. His hair is 7 different directions. He looks so tired at some points, like he's only breathing out of his mouth, and he's fine, and he can keep running, and his fitness is as good as anybody's, really. He's an interesting cat.
Yeah, tennis is certainly having a moment. That's Barstool Hubbs. Really appreciate you coming on the show. Looking forward to the next time.
Absolutely, brother.
That was Barstool Hubbs. This is the Inside In Tennis podcast. We're on all your podcast platforms. Just go to Apple, Spotify, iHeart, Amazon Music, wherever. Subscribe to the show. Download it. Check out my YouTube channel, Mitch Michals, for all of the video episodes as well. And follow us on all our socials as well. For Barstool Hubbs, this was Mitch Michals. This was the Inside In Tennis podcast. We'll talk to you soon. Enjoy the Aussie Open.